Understanding the legal situation involves being sued for allegedly failing to adequately enforce building code requirements, which supposedly resulted in damage to the restaurant. The specific claim is that you failed to ensure that the ground fault circuit interrupter receptacle outlet in the kitchen was functioning properly, leading to the loss of food. Preparing for court requires several steps. Firstly, you should gather evidence. Document your inspection report, which should show that you required ground fault circuit interrupter protection for all receptacle outlets in the kitchen. Obtain records from the restaurant to show the date and time the outlet tripped. Gather any other relevant documentation, such as maintenance logs or witness statements. Secondly, review the building code. Ensure that you are familiar with the specific building code requirement, which is 210.8 in question. Understand the purpose of ground fault circuit interrupter protection and how it relates to this case. Consider potential defenses. Compliance is key. Argue that you fulfilled your duty to enforce the building code by requiring ground fault circuit interrupter protection in the kitchen. Unforeseeable events also matter. Maintain that the outlet tripping was an unforeseeable event that was not reasonably detectable during your inspection. Negligence of others is another consideration. If evidence suggests that the restaurant failed to maintain the outlet or equipment properly, argue that their negligence contributed to the incident. It is highly recommended that you retain an attorney to represent you in court. An attorney can provide guidance, file motions, present your case, and negotiate a settlement if necessary. During court, dress professionally and arrive on time for your scheduled hearing. Be respectful and courteous to the judge and opposing counsel. Present your evidence and arguments clearly and concisely. Answer questions honestly and to the best of your ability. Potential outcomes include dismissal of the case, where the judge may dismiss the case if they determine that you did not breach your duty to enforce the building code. Settlement is another option, where you may reach a settlement with the plaintiff that compensates them for their losses. Judgment is also possible. If the case proceeds to trial and the plaintiff prevails, you may be held liable for the damages caused by the outlet tripping. Let's delve deeper into the technical aspects related to ground fault circuit interrupters, electrical safety, and code enforcement. Ground fault circuit interrupters are designed to protect people from electrical shock. They work by monitoring the current flowing to and from an appliance. If there is a difference of as little as 0.5 amps or 5 milliamps between the outgoing and incoming current, the ground fault circuit interrupter will trip, cutting off the power very quickly, typically within a fraction of a second. This rapid response is crucial in preventing serious injury or death. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, specifically requires ground fault circuit interrupter protection in areas where there's a higher risk of electric shock, such as kitchens, bathrooms, and outdoor locations. Section 210.8 of the National Electrical Code focuses on ground fault circuit interrupter protection for personnel in specific locations, often including commercial kitchens. The intent is to minimize the risk of electrical shock in environments where water and electrical appliances are frequently used. When inspecting an electrical installation, ensure that all required ground fault circuit interrupters are properly installed and functioning. This involves verifying that the ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles are located in the correct areas and that they trip when tested using the built-in test button. It's also important to check the wiring to ensure that it's properly grounded and that there are no obvious signs of damage or deterioration. In the context of a commercial kitchen, the frequent use of water and various electrical appliances increases the risk of ground faults. A ground fault occurs when current leaks from a live conductor to ground, often through a person who comes into contact with both. Ground fault circuit interrupters are designed to detect these small current leaks and quickly interrupt the circuit, preventing a potentially fatal electric shock. Several factors can cause a ground fault circuit interrupter to trip. These include faulty appliances, damaged wiring, moisture intrusion, and even nuisance tripping due to electrical noise or interference. When a ground fault circuit interrupter trips, it's essential to investigate the cause before simply resetting it. Repeated tripping indicates an underlying problem that needs to be addressed. Restaurants, with their high electrical demand and constant use of appliances, are particularly susceptible to electrical issues. Regular electrical inspections and maintenance are crucial for ensuring the safety of employees and customers. This includes checking the condition of wiring, outlets, and appliances, as well as testing ground fault circuit interrupters to verify their functionality. When a ground fault circuit interrupter trips in a commercial kitchen, it can have significant consequences, including the loss of perishable food, disruption of business operations, and potential safety hazards. Therefore, it's important to have a plan in place for dealing with such events, including procedures for identifying the cause of the tripping, resetting the ground fault circuit interrupter, and preventing future occurrences. From a legal standpoint, electrical inspectors have a responsibility to ensure that electrical installations comply with the National Electrical Code and other applicable regulations. This includes verifying that ground fault circuit interrupter protection is provided in the required locations and that the electrical system is properly maintained. If an inspector fails to adequately enforce these requirements, they may be held liable for damages resulting from electrical incidents, such as the food spoilage in the restaurant case. To protect themselves from liability, electrical inspectors should maintain thorough records of their inspections, document any code violations, and follow up to ensure that the violations are corrected. They should also stay up to date on the latest electrical codes and safety standards. In addition to ground fault circuit interrupters, there are other electrical safety devices that can help prevent electrical shocks and fires. These include arc fault circuit interrupters, or RFIs, which detect dangerous electrical arcs that can cause fires, and surge protectors, which protect sensitive electronic equipment from voltage spikes. Arc fault circuit interrupters are designed to protect against fires caused by arcing faults, which are unintentional electrical discharges between two or more conductors. These faults can occur due to damaged wiring, loose connections, or worn insulation. Arc fault circuit interrupters work by detecting the unique characteristics of arcing faults and quickly interrupting the circuit, preventing a fire from starting. Surge protectors are designed to protect electronic equipment from voltage surges, which are sudden increases in voltage that can damage or destroy sensitive components. Voltage surges can be caused by lightning strikes, power outages, or even the switching of electrical equipment. Surge protectors work by diverting excess voltage away from the protected equipment, preventing it from being damaged. In the context of a restaurant, surge protectors can be used to protect sensitive equipment such as computers, cash registers, and point-of-sale systems. It's important to choose surge protectors that are specifically designed for the type of equipment being protected and to ensure that they are properly grounded. The National Electrical Code is a comprehensive set of standards for electrical installations. It covers a wide range of topics, including wiring methods, overcurrent protection, grounding, and equipment installation. The National Electrical Code is updated every 3 years to reflect changes in technology and safety practices. It's important for electrical inspectors, contractors, and engineers to stay up to date on the latest edition of the National Electrical Code to ensure that their work complies with the current standards. In addition to the National Electrical Code, there may be other applicable regulations and standards such as local building codes and Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, regulations. It's important to be familiar with all of the applicable requirements before beginning any electrical work. Proper grounding is essential for electrical safety. Grounding provides a low resistance path for fault current to flow back to the source, allowing the overcurrent protection device, such as a circuit breaker or fuse, to trip and de-energize the circuit. Grounding also helps to prevent voltage buildup on metal surfaces, reducing the risk of electric shock. There are several different types of grounding systems, including equipment grounding, system grounding, and electrode grounding. Equipment grounding connects the metal parts of electrical equipment to ground, providing a path for fault current to flow. System grounding connects the neutral conductor of an electrical system to ground, providing a stable reference point for voltage. Electrode grounding connects the grounding system to the earth, providing a low resistance path for fault current to dissipate. Regular maintenance is essential for ensuring the continued safety of an electrical system. This includes inspecting wiring, outlets, and appliances for damage or deterioration, testing ground fault circuit interrupters and arc fault circuit interrupters to verify their functionality, and tightening loose connections. It's also important to keep electrical panels and equipment rooms clean and free of obstruction. Electrical safety training is essential for all workers who may come into contact with electrical equipment. This includes training on the hazards of electricity, safe work practices, and the proper use of personal protective equipment, or PPE. Electrical safety training should be provided on a regular basis to ensure that workers stay up to date on the latest safety standards. Personal protective equipment, or PPE, is designed to protect workers from electrical hazards. This includes gloves, footwear, eye protection, and clothing. The type of PPE required will depend on the specific task being performed and the level of risk involved. It's important to use the correct type of PPE and to ensure that it is in good condition. In the event of an electrical accident, it's important to take immediate action to prevent further injury. This includes shutting off the power, calling for medical assistance, and providing first aid. It's also important to investigate the cause of the accident to prevent future occurrences. Electrical safety is a shared responsibility. Electrical inspectors, contractors, engineers, and workers all have a role to play in ensuring that electrical systems are safe and that electrical accidents are prevented. By following safe work practices, using the correct equipment, and staying up to date on the latest safety standards, we can all help to create a safer electrical environment. In the specific scenario described, where a restaurant is suing the city due to food spoilage caused by a tripped ground fault circuit interrupter, several factors come into play. The inspector's role is to ensure compliance with the National Electrical Code, including the requirement for ground fault circuit interrupter protection in specific locations such as kitchens. If the inspector properly enforced the code by requiring ground fault circuit interrupter protection, they may have a strong defense against the lawsuit. However, the restaurant may argue that the inspector was negligent in some way, such as by failing to adequately inspect the installation or by failing to warn the restaurant owner about the potential for ground fault circuit interrupters to trip. To defend against the lawsuit, the inspector should gather evidence to show that they properly enforced the code, that the ground fault circuit interrupter was properly installed, and that the restaurant owner was aware of the potential for ground fault circuit interrupters to trip. The inspector should also consult with an attorney to discuss their legal options. The outcome of the lawsuit will depend on the specific facts of the case and the applicable law. However, by taking the appropriate steps to defend themselves, the inspector can increase their chances of a favorable outcome. One of the key defenses is demonstrating that the ground fault circuit interrupter was functioning as intended. Ground fault circuit interrupters are designed to trip when they detect a ground fault, which is a leakage of current to ground. This is a safety feature that is intended to protect people from electric shock. If the ground fault circuit interrupter tripped, it means that it detected a ground fault, which could have been caused by a faulty appliance, damaged wiring, or some other electrical problem. The inspector can argue that the ground fault circuit interrupter did its job by tripping and preventing a potentially dangerous situation. Another important defense is to show that the restaurant owner was responsible for maintaining the electrical system. Restaurant owners have a duty to maintain their electrical systems in a safe condition. This includes regularly inspecting wiring, outlets, and appliances, and repairing any problems that are found. If the restaurant owner failed to properly maintain their electrical system, they may be responsible for the food spoilage that occurred. The inspector can argue that the restaurant owner's negligence contributed to the incident and that they should not be held liable. In addition to these defenses, the inspector may also be able to argue that the damages claimed by the restaurant are excessive or unreasonable. The restaurant owner has a duty to mitigate their damages, which means that they must take reasonable steps to minimize their losses. If the restaurant owner failed to take reasonable steps to mitigate their damages, the inspector may be able to reduce the amount of damages that they are required to pay. The legal proceedings can be complex, and it is crucial to have proper representation.